And we are talking about the coronavirus vaccine, and we have had a huge number of questions in about that. So let's ask lots of your questions to Dr. Bharat Pankhania, expert in communicable disease control and outbreak at the University of Exeter Medical School. Welcome back to Your Questions Answered. And also joined by Mark Jitt, who is Professor of Vaccine Epidemiology at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Lovely to have you both here, gentlemen. Let's dive right in with an opening question from Mark Lunn, who says, if someone has had COVID, do you in fact still need to have the vaccine? Bharat Pankhania, can I come to you first?
Well, when we're immunizing, for example, with MMR, we don't look at what their previous history is or previous vaccine history. And so thinking empirically, I would say it's a lot easier, lot better, lot smarter to say, have the vaccine. At best, it may give you an immune boost. This vaccine hasn't been tried in people who had already had the infection.
It hasn't been tried. Professor Jitt, what would your thoughts be on that?
Well, I would say the same, that we're not sure. We do know that it is safe to give the vaccine to someone who's had the infection some time ago, because there were people enrolled in the trials, but we don't have enough data from the trials to say whether they get any extra protection or not. So I would say that you don't need to be tested before you get the vaccine. It will be safe, but we don't know whether the vaccine will give you any benefit or not.
OK, that's interesting. I'll stay with you for a question from Cora. We're talking a lot today about Pfizer and the fact that you have to have 2 doses, of course. But Cora says if you have the Pfizer vaccine and then further down the line it's discovered that more boosters are needed at a later date, or perhaps there's a problem with that vaccine, could you have one of the other vaccines? Can the other vaccine be given to that person who's already had the Pfizer vaccine?
Well, these are very real questions, but it's too early to answer them, I'm afraid. We don't know if any booster doses are needed. We don't know which are the next vaccines that might be licensed. And definitely, we've not had any trials or any data showing what might happen if people get 2 vaccines of different types. So at the moment, I think we just have to say we don't know.
We don't know. Well, we love the honesty. That's good. Dr. Pankhania, your thoughts quickly on that too.
Well, I feel it's better to stick to the same platform. In other words, Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca. If you really haven't got a choice, then I would say stick to the same platform. So if you started off with the mRNA vaccine, stick to the same platform. If you had a vector vaccine, i.e. the AstraZeneca type, stick to that platform.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, would someone know, actually? I mean, would the patient know which one they were being given? I mean, could they ask? I mean, that's interesting.
No, this is very important that going forward, we make good notes of all the people who are getting the vaccine and follow them up. And of course, which one they were given. So it should be a custom and practice that we record it very well, what they were given and which batch, etc.
Yeah, interesting, really, because we're still learning, I suppose, aren't we? Paul Heseltine wants to know, if I have the vaccine, does that mean I am completely free of COVID-19, or could I still be a carrier but not have any symptoms? Dr. Pankhania, I'll stay with you.
Yes, so this is a good concept, and it's good to sort of share it with our viewers, which is this. A vaccine may give you very good protection and never make you have a mild illness and give you very good protection, okay? So that would be one order. The second order would be it gives you protection against severe illness, but may give you mild illness. And when you have that mild illness, you may be infectious to other people. And therefore, it takes me to the third line, which is, after you have been immunized, it is still important to maintain good infection control practice, because we don't know, does it give you such good protection that you don't need any more mask wearing, etc., or does it give you mild illness? Therefore, what would I do? Have the vaccine and have the infection control measures as well.
OK. Professor Jitt, would you go along with that?
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, we again, I'll say we don't know for sure. I mean, there were some reports from the AstraZeneca trial that they saw a reduction in asymptomatic infection. That means people who didn't have any symptoms in the people who are vaccinated. But until we see all the data, we can't really say for sure. And so I would recommend that people who are vaccinated still do their best to avoid, like transmitting to other people, like wearing masks in public, for instance.
OK. A quick one from Keith Dryden, because it's about people with underlying health conditions. And understandably, this comes up time and time again. So I'll stay with you to ask Keith's question, which is there evidence during these trials that we've all been hearing about that they have been tested on people with an underlying condition?
Indeed, they have. And for many conditions, they've been found to be safe and to work well. For instance, in the Pfizer trials, the vaccine was used in people with asthma, people with COPD, diabetes, hypertension, and it worked well in all these people. I mean, I can't say exhaustively in every single condition the vaccine has been trialed. So the best would be to, if you have a particular condition, seek clinical advice. But generally, these vaccines seem to work in people with underlying health issues.
OK, and Dr. Pankhania, I could see you nodding throughout that. I'm going to bring you on to a question that's come through from Nepal, actually. Fantastic. Prabhakar Khadka, I do hope I've pronounced your name correctly, but they want to know, how long does immunity last after vaccination? Do we know?
Namaste to our listeners in Nepal, and my answer would be we think it provides protection for some time. How long that time is, we don't know. I assume it will be at least minimum a few months. Now then, going on to natural history. So of the people, the many millions now who have been infected in January, February, March of this year, we don't see them with recurrent infections. Therefore, my summation would be that actually SARS-CoV-2 is producing immunity. We just don't know how many years worth, but we think it is definitely producing immunity.
All right, thank you. I'm going to stay with you for this one, if I may. There's a question come through from Margaret Addison-Stephen. A simple, is this true question. There's going to be a lot of this, isn't there? I have been told that after having a vaccine, you have to stay inside for 1 month because you are very susceptible to COVID. Is that true?
No, it is not true. What the information is that you are not fully immune 7 days after your second dose. But that doesn't mean that the immunization has made you susceptible to other infections or dropped your immune system. So you carry on as normal, you carry on with infection control, but otherwise don't worry, don't panic.
All right, yeah, sage advice. Professor Jeet, I'm going to ask you the question from Grace, who says, what do we know about side effects, and are side effects different depending on your age?
So from the vaccine trials that have been reported so far, these vaccines have been shown to be safe in the trials. I mean, the one that has been formally assessed by the MHRA has been the Pfizer vaccine, and so that would not be licensed if it was not safe. With every vaccine, some people do get some minor adverse effects. So some people report things like pain at the injection site or fatigue or headache, but this is usually mild and it clears up after 1 or 2 days. So that happens with many vaccines. But there have been, there has been no reports of serious adverse effects in the vaccine arm compared to the people who didn't get the vaccine.
OK, and I'll stay with you. A question from Beth Granter, who wants to know whether breastfeeding women will be able to have the vaccine. What do we know about that?
As far as I know, this was not included in the trial, so they did not vaccinate breastfeeding women. So I think the safest thing for now would be to wait for more data on that before anyone who's breastfeeding receives the vaccine. I mean, I do think this is data that we do need because we want to protect breastfeeding mothers too. But at the moment, I think it's best to wait for that data.
Yeah, and Dr. Pankhania, do you have a thought on that?
So the MHRA advice is no to breastfeeding mothers, and similarly no to pregnant mothers, and similarly no to if you're contemplating pregnancy, you need to wait 2 months after you've been immunized. So no for breastfeeding, no to pregnant mothers, and no to getting pregnant within 2 months of having the vaccine.
OK, that's really clear. Thank you. I'm going to try and squeeze in two more. So, Dr. Pankhania, I'm going to very quick response from you, if I may, from Marion's question, who says, why is there such a range on the Oxford efficacy figures compared to the others? If it's possible to be brief in that big question.
Because of the way the Oxford trials were conducted, they were more of a patchwork series of trials and experiments compared to one huge big experiment conducted by the Pfizer-BioNTech group, in short.
Thank you. Well done. You win the prize. Excellent. A question from Steve in Purfleet is a good place to end, I think, because it's about the flu jab, because it is flu jab season, of course. And Steve says, I am due to have the flu jab. Should I wait, though, and wait until I have the COVID jab? Mark Jitt, I come to you first.
Well, again, I'll have to say we don't know because this was not looked at in the trials. Trial participants did not receive the flu jab. So the MHRA is recommending at least 14 days wait between the jab. So if you've got the COVID jab today, wait at least 2 weeks before you get your flu jab.
Thank you. And Dr. Pankhania, your thoughts? Because lots of people are thinking about the flu jab right now.
My advice is go and get your seasonal influenza vaccine. By the time the COVID-19 vaccine is out there and you're going to get immunized, it will be more than 2 weeks anyway. So the first thing you can do is get yourself your seasonal influenza vaccine.
Good advice.
Good advice. Excellent to speak to both of you. Really lovely to have you with us. Thanks so much, as ever. Thank you very much. Dr. Bharat Pankhania from the University of Exeter and Professor Mark Jitt from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Thank you.
Thank you.